300 career games, a result tonight in New England. What are your feelings?
Absolutely delighted. I'm sure it wasn't the greatest of spectacles necessarily with the ball, but with so many difficulties to deal with throughout this week, with opportunities to play certain players and the amount of forward-going players that we have missing. There was a big shift in our shape and some of the perspectives within that group. And the big ask today against a good side, against a confident side, a team that have been, in good form here on a very difficult surface, was to, make the game as difficult as possible and play with some real passion. And I think the character of the group shone through tonight. And I'm absolutely delighted with a road point and a clean sheet.
Thank you, Coach. We will continue with a question from Tim Sullivan from Fort Club and Canterbury.
Gary, a very different attitude towards a draw today versus last week. How much can, I guess, the same result on the table feel so different to you personally?
Well, I think there's numerous reasons for that, Tim. The fact that, these away days, as we've spoken about before, are not easy. Guys were up early this morning. This is one of the longest journeys, if not the longest journey we've been on. The journey from the airport when we dropped down on the bus, added to that, the guys have been travelling over 3 hours just with the team. That's without getting to the airport. So it's a long day. It's a tough day. It's a tiring day. And then on top of all of that, you've got a group here in New England that Bruce Arena's got playing well. They're very purposeful. They've got some good dimensions to their team. A designated striker who's been in top form. And, we were able to navigate this surface, which is, again, not easy, and put in a sterling effort. Now, I know that the stats will lean heavily against us with regards to possession. I'm sure efforts at goal, crosses, corners, whatever area you want to look. But today's performance really was about, this group digging in, showing the sort of fibre and character that, really championship teams are built on. And, whilst there's a long, long way to go with this team, they're all the qualities that I want to see in a group. And we know when we've got some of the players on the sideline that are not fit and are not able to come back into the group, this just enhances the way that the group functions.
Thank you, Coach. We will continue with a question from Dre Hills with MCN.
Gary, obviously, you have to acknowledge the performance from Joe Willis tonight. He's showing saves in different ways. Obviously, coming off of his line, catching crosses in the air, catching shots in the air, acrobatic saves, tipping over the bar, block shots going down on the ground. I mean, he showed a lot of variety. Obviously, with the tactics and the setup, I'm sure that you planned, it must have been something that he was expecting in terms of the pressure. Now, how well do you think he did by handling that pressure?
I'll have to say, I think it might have been Joe's best performance for us so far. I mean, I wasn't expecting, maybe the sort of pressure that they did build. I was hopeful that we might be able to get some sort of foothold in the game. And there were some moments, but they were fleeting, it has to be said. But what I think we were able to do, for the most part, was to keep the clear-cut opportunities to a very, very minimum. There was a good opportunity for Bo just the other side of half-time, and Joe made a terrific save. But I think what we are seeing from Joe is a reliability. His shot stopping has never been in question. He's making good choices. He's always been a leader of this group. And I do believe tonight Joe broke his own record of clean sheets for any season, which I think typifies not only the way that he's playing, but the sort of of credence that the team put on, keeping their goal intact. This group have shown great endeavours to not only compete, but to make life incredibly difficult when things have been going against us. And, we knew as in our inaugural season that things weren't going to be, plain sailing or go swimmingly for us all the time. But these players have really shown some real backbone. And I'm delighted with that. Of course, Joe being the epitome of it tonight.
We have another question from Tim Sullivan.
Gary, you mentioned not having your forwards available. Can you speak to kind of the impressive performance that guys like that Brian and Matt put in, kind of playing out of position a little bit tonight?
Listen, I'm not sure there was a performance out in the field there today that I could look at and be critical of. Guys were asked to play a slightly different role and a different shape. There were guys in the group, as you've rightly said, Matt LaGrassa's professional MLS debut. Brian Nunga, of course, we know, has made a couple of appearances, but, let's not get too excited. It's his first season in MLS. Those two lads in particular, I thought were absolutely outstanding and showed so much energy. And we needed that. Alongside them is an individual who's really, given us our heartbeat in the centre of that midfield. Dax was somebody that they could lean on. And I think those two guys will both say that, his presence alongside them was vitally important. But I think more so as you look further forward, we take for granted now that the back line and Joe are going to stand strong. There were some wonderful performances there, but most importantly, I thought the back line looked very organised. They looked in control and they made good choices and were brave when they needed to be. It was the front line that we were always going to have the biggest issues, not a recognised forward in the group. Certainly talent there in those three, but trying to, get them on the same page and to offer us an outlet and some opportunity going the other way was always going to be tough. All three of them showed different qualities, I felt, tonight. Derek in particular stood up, and really gave us a little bit of a focal point when we needed it. And it's not necessarily his game. He's not that bruising centre forward who's going to be, towering above defenders and winning headers. But I tell you what, he didn't have to use his body well tonight. He protected the ball well. He gave us some respite when we needed it. We were able to lend it into him and know that he was going to protect it for us. And I thought it was really, really important that he gave us a display along those lines.
We'll continue with a question from Ben Wright with Broadway Sports.
Yeah, Gary, just after you mentioned the travel and how it's probably the longest trip you'll face, as well as just the injury report. With a quick turnaround, playing a game on Tuesday night, how do you get these guys back and fully healthy, and hopefully get some of the forwards back onto the field?
Well, listen, it's not easy. It's a very quick turnaround. Fortunately, it's at home, a place that, we've got a lot of confidence. We've had some very decent results. The players will be themselves inspired by their point on the ball today. And it doesn't sound a lot, but I tell you, when you're coming back from these tough venues and taking a long journey, that point feels like the crown jewels when you're taking it back home. It's an incredible hold to have and to add to the board. And that will serve us well as we work towards Tuesday. The recovery of the players, will do everything that we can to make sure that they're in the right place. But no doubt in my mind, it's a lot easier to turn around on Tuesday, having put in a performance like they have tonight and earned some points, than it is if you get beat and there's lots of questions swirling around. So these lads will be fine. We've had a week off. There's some lumps and bumps that we've got to monitor after today, but I'm sure they'll be in the right spirits for Tuesday.
Tonight, here with us, we have Joe Willis and then Matt LaGrassa, who made his debut tonight. So we'll start with you, Matt. Congratulations. Tell us about how did it feel to make your debut in Major League Soccer?
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously an incredible feeling for me. You know, it's been a really long journey for me as a player. And, you know, we talk about it all the time as a group that your time's always coming. Just stay ready, stay ready. And, you know, tonight happened to be an opportunity for me. So I'm happy for that.
Joe, we've been waiting for this moment for a couple of games now. Congratulations. Finally, you broke your personal record in shutouts. How did it feel to finally get that behind you?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to get a clean sheet. I try not to keep track of how many there are and just let you guys figure that one out. But, you know, we talk about it a lot, and keeping clean sheets is a foundation for getting points on the board. And we know that goals are going to come. And as long as we keep zero in the back, we put ourselves in a good position.
Wonderful. We will now open the floor for questions, and we will begin with a question from Drake Hills for you, Joe.
Joe, congrats on the record again. The types of saves that you had to make were really diverse, and starting obviously early, and you had to make them throughout the game. Talk to me about just how you saw how New England was coming at you, obviously, and doing whatever it needs to do, whatever it needs to make sure that you keep the clean sheet and to make sure that Nashville SC walk out with a point.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of good attacking pieces, so they have a lot of different ways they can hurt you. They have dynamic wingers who will take guys 1v1 and get service across. They also have good technical forwards who can, have a shot if they find a half yard of space. So you have to be kind of ready for anything when you play against New England. And I think, like you said, it's a matter of doing whatever you can, whether it's me making saves, whether it's guys making blocks, winning headers. The goal is to keep the ball out of the back of the net by any means necessary, and we did a pretty good job of that tonight.
Tim Sullivan with a question for you, Matt.
Yeah.
Matt, obviously you've gotten into a game already this year, but at what point this week did you find out you would be in the starting lineup? And were there any nerves or anything as you kind of built up to that first MLS start?
I do my best to stay prepared for, whatever's coming my way. I think it is difficult sometimes when you're out of the group for a long time to stay mentally in the place where you're ready to get in there. But I had enough time to prepare mentally and know that I was going to be a part of it. And for me, I'm happy with how it went, to be honest.
We'll stay with you, Matt, with a question from Drake Hills.
Matt, the actual lineup was, I'm sure, a little bit different for you, obviously, going back to Nashville in the USL days and even your time getting used to playing in this system under Gary and MLS. Talk to me what it was like for you to kind of team up with Dax and Brian in that kind of defensive holding midfield line as opposed to, probably playing in a 2 or sometimes even a 4.
Yeah, I think it's no secret with the amount of bodies that we're missing right now that we and with New England playing the way that they do, that we had to change some things. I think Gary came into it with a specific game plan that he wanted us to execute, and we found a way to do that. I think the shape was a little different than we have been playing, but ultimately we were able to get a result. I don't think everything went perfect tonight, but I think these types of results on the road, on a difficult surface, I think are going to make a big difference for us down the line.
One question from Tim Sullivan now for you, Joe.
Joe, obviously you made a number of key saves there, but there were also a couple key blocks from your defenders in front of you. How good does it feel when you see that, even if it might feel like a shot might be ready to beat you, and then you see whether it's Walker or whomever else come in and slide and get it away from your net?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, I think it kind of personifies us as a group. You have guys who are making sacrifices for each other and doing whatever it takes to get points. So, it's not to be cliche, but it's a team effort. So, everyone has to do their part, whether it's defending as a team or attacking as a team. So seeing plays like that is huge, and it instills a lot of confidence in me, and it also at times puts pressure on me because you see your teammates who are making these big plays, and you start to think to yourself, okay, you know, my number's going to get called. I'm going to have to make a big play soon. I better be ready for it.
Thank you both, and congratulations on tonight's performance. We'll see you on Tuesday in a short turnaround. And for everybody, due to the short turnaround, we will not be hosting a match -2